Welcome into the New Orleans Saints postgame show presented by Mercedes-Benz. Your New Orleans Saints defeat the Chicago Bears for their wild card game 21-9. We are awaiting Sean Payton there at the podium. We will get you over to him as soon as he comes up. I'm Carolyn Gonzalez alongside John DeShazier. JD, this game came down to the defense for the Saints. We talked about it in our pregame show, Dome at Home Live. The defense was astounding once again.
Yeah, you'd like to see a well-balanced, well-rounded game, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way. The NFL playoffs are the equivalent of the NCAA tournament. Survive, advance. Saints were able to ride that defense. They were fantastic against Mitchell Trubisky, against David Montgomery, against whomever the Bears tossed at him in this game. They got stops when they needed to. They forced punts when they needed to. They just were all over the field. It seemed like the Saints were playing with 13 defenders at the time. They got it done. From beginning to end. Really, even when the Saints turned it over in a short field situation, they forced a field goal, which turned out to be huge in this game because points were scarce early in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Saints will now advance to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, which, of course, we can't wait for. JD, something that we didn't really talk about in our pregame show, Quan Alexander ruptured his Achilles. They didn't have them. How did the Saints make up for not having Quan on the field?
Well, they didn't have Quan Alexander, but you get CJ back.
Yeah.
CJ Gardner-Johnson came back, and he was all over the field. And if you didn't see him on the field, you could probably hear him wherever you were because he was chattering. But, you get him back. Alexander only played well. And a lot of times I think the Saints will be able to get away with playing that big nickel. They might even only go with one linebacker with Demario Davis because you've got CJ and you've got PJ Williams and you've got Malcolm Jenkins. So you've got enough safeties to where you can kind of fill that void away from Quan Alexander, especially if Quan Alexander was going to be the guy who played in a lot of nickel situations and did a lot of pass coverage. Well, that's what Chauncey Gardner-Johnson does. That's what Malcolm Jenkins can do, and that's what PJ Williams can do. And you can get rushing out of those guys also. So I don't think you lose a whole lot there.
Well, the Bears didn't convert on third down. They were 1 of 10 on third downs in the game, and that didn't come until the fourth quarter. What about the Saints' game plan was so disruptive for the Bears?
Well, I think they just whipped them. It's just that. I mean, they were able to get Mitchell Trubisky off schedule. They beat his offensive lineman. And even though they didn't get a ton of sacks, if you can get him on the move, throwing on the move, get him uncomfortable, I thought they did that. And I thought they did a nice job in the secondary, even when he did throw it. We saw not a lot of nice pass breakups. Jack Rabbit should have had a pick. Jack Rabbit Jenkins. Marshawn Lattimore with a good deep pass breakup. So if you can get the ball on the ground even when he does throw it, you can probably get him off schedule a little bit. And then they wouldn't let him run at all. Stopped the run stone cold, made them one-dimensional, and even though the Saints were only leading 7-3 for a good period of time, you felt like coming out of halftime, if the Bears don't score there and the Saints do score, it might just be over because of the way the defense was playing.
Absolutely, and JD, we talked about it before, the Saints offense getting a lot of weapons back. Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara this week, Latavius Murray, Deonte Harris, so many weapons that Drew Brees had in his arsenal. What were your thoughts on their performance at first? And one of your keys to the game was keeping Drew clean. How did the offensive line do?
Well, I didn't think they did great in that area, but you have to remember the Bears have a really good defensive line. Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, those guys are really good up front, so it's tough to keep him clean totally, and yet they kept him clean enough. I thought he found Michael Thomas early, and that connection worked out well. Deonte Harris coming back was a godsend for the offense in this game because he provided some good plays, especially some good third down conversions. Deonte Harris, obviously, you know him more as a kick returner, punt returner, but in this, he was a fantastic receiver. They needed it because they didn't get a lot of production out of Emmanuel Sanders, out of Marquez Callaway, and that might be because the Bears were wary of those guys, and they figured, okay, we don't know a whole lot about this guy as a receiver. We're going to see what he can do. Deonte Harris showed that he can be a productive receiver.
Yeah, Deonte Harris had a career high in receiving yards today. He was the Saints' leading receiver with 83 yards, and he just seems to be so shifty. Like, he was the go-to guy on third down, it seemed like.
Well, that's the thing. If you can give him the ball in an open field, that's exactly what you want. You want to get him in one-on-one situations, let him beat a defender, because there aren't a lot of guys who can catch him in a small space. It could be a phone booth. He can get away from the guy. So you put him in a situation, get him in the flat, get him on a linebacker, get him on a safety, get him on a cornerback. Really doesn't matter. He should be able to beat that guy. That's what you're trusting in. That's what he's on this team for because of his elusiveness.
And we also weren't sure about Alvin Kamara, how he was going to come back after obviously being testing positive for COVID-19. And it seems like he picked up right where he left off.
Yeah, got 99 yards, got another touchdown. So his last 2 games in the Superdome, he's got 7 touchdowns, all rushing. But he is a weapon. Even if he's not getting a lot of yards, because of the threat he poses, he opens up the offense a little bit. You get him, you get Michael Thomas back on the field, because Michael Thomas can give you that person who, even covered, can make a tough catch. And that's huge for Drew Brees. Sometimes you just got to be able to trust your guy. You trust Michael Thomas. You get Alvin Kamara. He busts one late, gets 99 yards on 23 carries, I believe. He gives that offense balance. And if you can get that kind of balance, if you're the Saints, you feel pretty good about whomever you play.
And, we saw it a little bit with Taysom Hill when he was at quarterback, and then obviously Drew Brees taking the reins again. It didn't seem like they had that receiver that they could necessarily throw open. And Michael Thomas, obviously returning, was that guy once again.
Yeah, Michael Thomas, and he got deep on one, which, probably fooled Chicago. But look, if it's 3rd and 6, he'll get you 7. If it's 3rd and 8, he'll get you 9. He's that type of guy who knows how to position himself. He knows how to find the soft spots. And Drew Brees, again, has done a ton of work with Michael Thomas. So he understands exactly what Mike is going to do, knows how to throw it where Mike is going to be. So he can literally throw him open and just trust that Mike is going to continue to make the move in the route to get to where he wants him to go.
Well, you talk about trust, JD. What about that play from Latavius Murray? He blocks, he falls, he gets right back up. Drew just kind of lobs it over the top to him, and he fights his way into the end zone.
Exact same play I think he had against Kansas City. He went for 24 yards on that one. He went in from the left side. This time he goes in from the right side. He's on pass block. He's picking up a blitzer. He sees his quarterback getting a little trouble. Drew Brees has some time, but he's got to scramble a little bit. He's able to throw a live pass to him, and Latavius gets in. That's just great recognition by both guys. And I'm sure now they'll have recall back from that Kansas City game, because Latavius is not supposed to be in that route, but he sees his quarterback in trouble. He gives him an outlet pass, and then he's able to bang into the end zone. Turns out to be a huge play.
Well, let's revisit your key real quick, JD. Avoid eye candy. You were talking about that for the Saints defense and Mitch Trubisky, making sure they keep him in the pocket. First of all, what did you mean by avoiding eye candy? I would like to know, because, as eye candy myself. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you what, she's humble, folks.
How do they do, obviously, with Mitch Trubisky?
No, with that, you just want to make sure you're disciplined. You don't want to go so much for the bootlegs, and you don't want to be fooled by him, the misdirections. I thought they did a fantastic job of it, because you see that in the run game, the lack of production by the Bears and the stops by the Saints. When the Saints stop a team from running this way and make them one-dimensional, you like your chances, and that's what they want to do with every opponent. But I thought they did a great job of really just not falling for any kind of deception by Chicago offensively. It was rare that you see Trubisky get loose against this team until late in the game. Even on a couple of naked boots, he throws the pass. They stop it for about a 2-3 yard gain. That's perfect execution defensively, because you don't fall for the eye candy. You don't lose your discipline. You are still able to get the guy down.
We know you're the eye candy of the show. It's okay, JD. When you look at the special teams, we've talked in years past about Will Lutz and Thomas Morstead kind of being automatic. Where do you think they're kind of struggling right now?
Well, I don't know. I think last week when Will Lutz missed the field goal, they said the laces were wrong. But he's missed 4 of his last 7, I believe, is the count now. And it's not all laces. And I don't know if it's a mental thing right now. I don't know if it's the hold. I don't know exactly what the situation is. But it is disturbing. Yeah. Because Will Lutz is a guy that you count on and will need to count on, I believe, at some point in these playoffs if the Saints continue to advance. You're going to need a big kick. Early in this game, probably was about a 57-yard attempt that would have been on the first possession. But, a confident Will Lutz and a team that's confident in him might go for that. Now, I can see why you punt it anyway. You get the short field, give the short field to the opposition to Chicago, and then they still got the 3 and out and turn it into a touchdown. But sometimes Will Lutz will go out there and kick that field goal, and I just don't know if there's the confidence in him now that there usually is. You hope, whatever it is, whether it's the snap, whether it's the hold, whether it's the kick, it's got to get straightened out, because he is one of the premier kickers in the NFL before this season, and he just had a real rough patch of it here lately.
Well, we are waiting Sean Payton there at the podium. I'm sure they're all doing the gritty in the locker room that Sean Payton has diligently practiced. But
in his Jordan 11s.
In his Jordan's 11s. What was the word that Emmanuel Sanders said this week? Oh, flavor.
Yeah, flavor.
He has flavor. The city of New Orleans and Sean Payton.
He will not be wearing Asics, I can tell you that.
No aces to be had in the Saints locker room. Well, JD, when you look ahead to next week's divisional round against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what are some of the things you think the Saints are going to want to clean up?
Well, you want to clean up your kicking game, number one, but defensively, you just want to build off what you had.
Yeah.
They played 2 fantastic defensive games against Tampa Bay. Now everybody says, well, how tough is it to beat a team 3 times? And, that team makes adjustments, as if the Saints will not make adjustments. I think the Saints probably made adjustments from the 34-23 victory they had in the season opener to the 38-3 victory they had in Tampa Bay. So both teams advanced. Sometimes it's just, we know you, you know us. Can my guy beat your guy? And the Saints so far have had their guys beat Tampa Bay's guys.
Well, I believe we are going to have Sean Payton here at the podium in just a moment. But as we wait for them, okay, I keep thinking he's going up. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we were talking in the pregame show, it's hard to beat a team 3 times, but the Saints did it so handedly when they hosted the Bucs in the Dome.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Tampa Bay, and I will give them this, and I believe we do have someone coming to the podium now.
Who knows? City of Flight is their name. Jared Cook, maybe?
Yeah, at least
Jared
it's
Cook
always
at the
Jared
podium.
Cook because Jared's head's always cut off.
Mike Thomas back, but Deonte played a huge role for you guys today. How big was Deonte today? It seemed like he made a lot of catches on 3rd downs and just making guys miss, that sort of thing.
He was huge, and in both phases of the game, he was huge for us. I think he was 7 for 7. Just came out and balled in places where we needed him. Drew was able to find him early and just kept hitting them throughout the game, and that's huge for us.
Next one's from Ed Daniels.
Hey, Jared, slow start. Any thoughts on why it maybe took you guys a little while to get going? Were you concerned at any point?
That's just how the game goes. When you're in it, of course, it's not how you want to start. Of course, it's not how you want to be in the game operating. But, that's not something the concern is not something that we really worry about when we out there playing. It's just about making the next play on to the next play and continue to push them forward.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
Jared, was there anything you guys did, your protections or anything to get Drew a little bit more time? It felt like there was a lot of pressure in the first half, and then the second half there was a little bit more time for the offense to operate.
Well, we were worried about Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn the whole game. We knew that going into the game, what type of pass rushes they had, and we knew that Drew was going to need some extra time and extra help. So we kind of figured that going into the game. Not really much changes during the game. It's just we knew that going into the week, and that's how our game plan went.
Next one's from Catherine Terrell.
So, Jared, I'm just wondering if you've ever played with anyone that can get under opposing players' skin like CJ seems to be able to.
Yeah, I keep asking him what he keep doing, but he's clearly a huge DB for us, somebody who's came in since last year at the nickel spot and just locked up a lot of guys. So he's playing really well for us. I don't know what he says to opposing DBs to get under their skin, but I know I hate to play him.
In all seriousness, do you guys feed off his energy at all? Because he seems like he's a guy that just has endless amounts of energy no matter what he's doing.
Yeah, it's not only him, it's the whole defense as a whole. When we see our defense balling out there on the field, that fuels us. And those guys bring that juice, and that's huge for us. Whenever they make a big hit or a big stop, that motivates us offensively.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, Latavius did something similar earlier in the year where he was blocking and then bailed Drew out and scored a touchdown. I guess how big is that for y'all when you have a guy like that who recognizes things and how they develop and end up making big plays after?
Yeah, that's a huge part of the game. When the defense is soft, when you're able to find holes in the zone and get check downs and for a back or somebody to get north and create extra yards, that's huge for us. So for Drew to be able to extend plays, scramble, and find Latavius for that touchdown is huge.
We're all set. Thanks, Jared.
All right, cool.
All right, let's get questions in the chat for CJ Gardner-Johnson. First one's from Amy Just.
Welcome back. How you feeling? First game back. What was it like last week? Having to sit at home and not be there with you guys.
It was hard, but focus on this week was my main focus. Staying healthy and just go out there and do my job and just do what my coach taught me. You know, I'm not trying to do too much. Just go out there and compete and play within myself.
Next one's from Ed Daniels.
CJ, did they try to take you out of your game today based on what happened back in November, or was it pretty quiet?
It's pretty quiet. I mean, we here to win football. We're not here to do nothing else. Like Payton says, just stay focused. I'm not worried about nothing else. I'm not here to help my teammates. I'm not here to be an individual show. That's not what it's for. So I'm glad we got the win. Great team win on both sides of the ball, and it's ready to continue playing.
Next one's from Ronald Riggs.
Hey CJ, all week you and Javon went.
Ronald, we can't hear you that well. You're a little low on the audio. We can come back. Nick Underhill, you can go ahead.
Hey, can you just give us your evaluation of just how you thought that the defense played? Seems like you guys are peaking at the right time and playing your best football right now.
Everybody doing their job. Can't speak for everybody, but I just see a team playing together on the defensive side, just listening to coach and doing our assignment. That's all it is, you know. When we focus on the right stuff and have our eyes in the right place, we're doing good. So we got to just continue to, you know, we got games left. You know, season over with. So focus on the next one.
Next one's from Mike Triplett.
CJ, I'm going to ask the opposite of what Ed Daniels just asked you. Did you try to get a rise out of the Bears? Was there anything where you were trying to see if you could get them to go over the edge?
I just
Can you at least explain what happened on that play though, or the ejection?
We won.
All right. Well, then let me ask you about tackling Mitch Trubisky on the fourth down play. Were you aware of where the sticks were on that play? I mean, it came right down to it.
It's 4th down. Ain't no excuses. You shouldn't be taking your foot off the pedal. So that's my motto. I mean, I'm going 100% at all plays. I mean, I ain't know where the sticks was at, but playing hard, you get rewarded. So, you know, just continue to keep playing hard and just don't worry about what's going on. I mean, you got to be aware, obviously, but, you know, once the ball snaps, you just got to go out there and play football and do your assignment.
Ronald, you can go ahead now.
Yeah, audio's good?
All good. We got you.
Yeah, CJ, all week, you and Javon seem to be going back and forth with some Twitter banter. And
we're going back and forth. Don't say that, please.
Well, in the first quarter, Javon dropped a key touchdown. Do you think that, you know, maybe you got in his head a little bit?
The guy dropped the ball. I'm sorry, I can't. He dropped the ball. Next play.
Last one's from Jacques Doucet.
CJ, if I can ask you about Deonte Harris, you go up against him in practice, you see him in practice every day. I just want to know if you could speak to a guy who's 5'6", undrafted, you know, coming out in a playoff game and making plays like this.
Big time player, made big time plays, and he stepped up today. So I'm just, like you say, protect him when you get the ball on punt return and give him the ball in space. I guess that's what the plan was, and you see what he was doing. So I mean, I really can't call him offensive, but he's a playmaker, and you can see we got the ball in his hands. He's there. So I'm just happy. You know, we got balled out today and we got a team win.
We're all set. Appreciate it, CJ. Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
I can. You hear me? Okay?
Go ahead, guys.
Hey, Sean, I'm going to ask the most important question of the day here. Are you going to follow through with your promise to get slimed at some point?
I am. They're waiting. So as soon as I finish here, I told them Nickelodeon I would do it. I just saw the buckets, and yeah, we're going to do that here in a few minutes.
You worried about your shoes at all? Like if that's going to stain them, or
My what?
your shoes? Do you think the slime is going to stain your shoes?
Yeah, we'll have more shoes if it does.
Sean, are you willing to admit that fourth down, the fake quarterback power with Taysom Hill, Were you actually going to go for that, or was that just going to be a timeout call to see if you can get them to jump?
Yeah, it was basically a no-brainer freeze. And actually, where we were on the field, we were just going to take a delay and then kick the field goal. But it's a run formation, a heavy run formation, a different cadence from a different quarterback, and it worked pretty well.
It seemed like the protection in the second half for Drew was a lot better. Did you change things up at halftime to enable that?
Well, look, I thought in the first half, it wasn't necessarily the third downs. We had some minus plays, and it was the complete opposite in the second half. We didn't have a lot of possessions, but I know we had 2 long drives, because when the drives are over and you look at the pictures, and when you get a heavy stack, you know you're on the field quite a while. And I thought the second half time of possession was important. It proved to be important. Our defense played outstanding. Really, the one field goal came off of a turnover of ours, and on offense. And so I thought that it was a great team win. And I thought in the second half we got things clicking a little bit relative to scoring touchdowns and moving the football.
Sean, what does Deonte Harris bring with you just after the catch? He converted like 4 third downs today. A lot of them were big yak plays.
Yeah, we got a lot of zone coverage. You know, some of it was 2 deep high or quarters. Some of it was single high, but maybe a little bit more zone on some down and distances than we might have anticipated. And so Drew did a good job of coming off to some players. And, you know, Deonte is one of those guys in space that, you know, he made a number of plays today, and that was significant. You know, he's hard to tackle one-on-one. We tried to get him the ball on a few, you know, drive starting plays, but it's good to have him back in the lineup.
Sean, did you have any reservations about letting Drew leap over the top there at the end with considering his injury?
No, we talked about that during the week. You know, how he's feeling. He's feeling good. So no, we just knew a half yard. That would be something, you know, that we'd be willing to do based on the type of goal line front that we were getting.
Sean, do you have any concern moving forward with your kicking game? I know that you missed 3 points there in that first half. Is that going to be a concern, you know, as the playoffs get going?
Well, as a coach, you have concern 24/7 about a lot of things. You know, you're focused on all the specific details. You know, I thought from a kicking game standpoint, we did a lot of things well. We missed a field goal, but Will's someone that, you know, will bounce back. So, yeah, I think, believe it or not, you know, we're fortunate to win a game, and yet we feel like there's a lot of things that we can do better, and that's what we'll get ready to get started on as soon as the practices begin. So, I think he'll answer the bell.
Coach, were you concerned about the slow start at all, or what was your feeling as you got to the half?
Well, like I just said, you know, as a coach, you're always concerned. You know, you're wanting to operate efficiently, and but look, I think it's really focused on the things that you can tweak. We threw the ball a little bit more on first down. It's a good defense, good front, and yeah, we did the things we needed to do. So again, good win.
Sean, what was the process like for you with Alvin Kamara this week, knowing that he wasn't able to practice? It seemed like you guys kind of just let him rip out there despite not having him out there.
Well, I've said this all along. You know, first off, he's extremely smart, so he can pick things up right away. You know, he was zoomed in for meetings. He was virtualed in for practices. I think there's some players that might have affected more, but he was one of those players that, you know, I think picks things up. He understands what we're doing formationally. And so that made that transition a little bit smoother, and it was certainly good having him back in the lineup.
Sean, is the fewest points you all have allowed in a playoff game in club history. What in particular did you like about your defensive performance?
Thought we tackled well in space. I thought our third down numbers were good. And ultimately, I thought, you know, we forced them to become one-dimensional. And when you're able to do that, you you're going to win a lot of games.
Sean, was there any element of having to find a rhythm with some of these guys coming back, or were you happy with kind of how that felt?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to look at the tape to see if it was rhythm driven. I mean, certainly as a play caller, you're wanting to get in a rhythm. We shot ourselves in the foot on a few early downs, and I think those are things that we can clean up and correct. So once we see the tape, we'll have a chance to look at that. Last one.
How would you say Michael Thomas looked and his health was relative to this entire season and his influence on the game?
Listen, he draws coverage, he draws rotation. He had a few big plays for us, and he's going to continue to have more and more big plays. I'm glad that, he had that time to really stay off his ankle, and I know it's not 100%, but man, he's going to be significant for us in all of these games. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
So what? You better get slime.
All right, let's get questions in the chat for Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
First one's from Chris Dunnels.
Hey, Alvin, how was it this week going through practice virtually in Zoom? It didn't seem like you skipped a beat here, but I'm curious what it was for your end.
How long? Hold on real quick. I think we lost. I don't know what happened to this. Oh, here we go. Hold on, y'all. Yo.
Good, Alvin.
I think I need another question. I think the mic came unplugged.
All right, Chris, go ahead.
Hey, Alvin, I was just curious your take on how all the Zoom practices and the virtual practices went for you this week. You seemed to play just fine without a hitch, but I was curious what your thoughts were.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to adapt, So obviously, I couldn't be there this week for practice. And they had the practice up live streaming. Coach Thomas was mic'd up, talking me through the run looks, the pass looks, everything. And I was talking back and forth with Drew all week. It didn't really affect me too much. I do my best to kind of stay in tune with what's going on, week in and week out. So, I can kind of pick up things on the fly when we going.
Next one's from Ed Daniels.
Alvin, can you speak to how poorly you felt or you didn't feel poorly during that whole time you were out, and how did you feel?
Yeah, so with me, it didn't really affect me too much. Just taste and smell kind of thrown off a little bit. Other than that, I was fine. No real side effects, no real symptoms. I felt fine out there today. Even with being out for that extended period of time, I felt my win wasn't really affected. Nothing really affected. So, but thankfully, God, thank God for the health. But it's just something I had to deal with.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
AK, were you kind of sweating out the Saturday, Sunday playoff slot last week? Were you just like, man, I hope they don't put this game on Saturday?
Yeah, I was definitely watching. I'm like, oh, all right, but I got a little source. They hit me and calmed my nerves and told me it was gonna be a Sunday game. So I knew kind of early that it was gonna be a Sunday game. So I was definitely relieved. Wanted to be out here and help the team.
Look, man, you can't tell us that you've got better sources than we do. You're already better.
I might got better sources. The only person that might have better sources than me is Nick. Nick. Every time something dropped, Nick got it.
Hey.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, it was your first game back, Mike's first game back, but Deonte, it was his first game back too. How big was his performance for y'all today?
Man, Deonte a baller. Anytime he's available, we obviously, we want him on the field. Just like Sean said, he's one of those dudes that's special in space, and he can make a lot of things happen. So just getting him more balls and getting him more opportunity to make some plays. It's going to be huge on this trip.
Next one from Nick Underhill.
Hey, did you feel like it took a little bit to establish a rhythm as an offense, just with some of the new guys coming back?
I don't know. I was just out there in the moment. I feel like sometimes we start a little bit slower than we like to. But like Sean said, we settled in second half. We came out and we did some things that, you know, we obviously talked about all week. We got in better position, put ourselves in better position to execute and kind of, you know, get our tempo going. So, you know, I just gotta watch it, like Sean said, and see. But, you know, I mean, these guys like me, Mike, Deonte, we've been playing. I mean, but, you know, guys have missed time for certain things, and I mean, nothing changes when you get back. It's just, you know, plug and play.
Next one's from Jacques Doucet.
Alvin, are there any other things you can share with us about Deonte? I mean, here's a 5'6" undrafted wide receiver coming out here and making these kind of plays. I mean, his work ethic. I mean, what can you share about him?
Man, Deonte, he just like, when I watch Deonte play, I kind of see a little me. Like he just want to go. Like he's like, all right, well, I'm about to make a play. Whenever I touch the ball, it is what it is. I don't care how big, small. I don't care who's on the other side. It is what it is. I'm about to make a play. The ball is in my hand. So, I mean, he just got a lot of will and a lot of heart, you know. I mean, and it's backed by skill and hard work.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Alvin, is there any like good byproduct of being forced to have to sit out week 17? Like, did you feel recharged physically, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I got a first round bye. I got a bye week. So, you know, I mean, it helps, obviously, you know, just having that downtime. It's like, I mean, you have no choice but to sit and recover and kind of like get your body back right. So I felt good, man. I felt good out there today. I feel like I didn't really miss a beat.
Last one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, Latavius, he had a similar touchdown earlier this season where he was, you know, a blocker first and then ended up, you know, bailing Drew out. How big is that when you have a guy who's asked to do everything on a single play and ends up scoring?
Man, I mean, it's the job description. You know what I'm saying? We do whatever we got to do within the parameters of the game to be able to put ourselves in position to win. So, you know, he was executing his job, and, you know, he ended up being on the scoring side of it, you know, just benefiting by having a touchdown. So, you know, he was definitely exciting, and I was hyped because I didn't even know he fell and got back up and, you know, was able to get that ball. But, you know, Drew found him and he was able to score, so he was definitely hyped.
Thanks, AK.
All right, let's get.
Let's get questions in the chat for Drew Brees. First one's from Luke Johnson.
Hey, Drew, you look at what Deonte did today, and obviously, like, he was a big part of what y'all were doing, moving the ball downfield, but especially on third down. He had like 4 third-down conversions today. How big was he there for you guys specifically?
Yeah, listen, he's a great weapon. He can do a lot of things. He's got a really great feel for the game and a lot of our route concepts. And so, you know, we were trying to put him in positions where, you know, good matchups in space, get the ball in his hands, and let him do what he does best. He did a great job.
Next one's from Mike Triplett.
Drew, I have 2. First of all, what read was Latavius Murray on that touchdown? If he was even in the progression,
he's not in the progression. There's 5 other guys or 4 other guys, and he's actually blocking, and then he was there to cut Khalil Mack, so he was on the ground, and then he popped up, and I just kind of dished it over Mack's head to Latavius. So they played a totally different coverage than what, you know, the play was designed for. So there's nobody open. So I go to scramble. He pops up off the ground and just had to get the ball to him.
That's great. And secondly, I mean, I guess you spent most of your career figuring you would never meet Tom Brady in a playoff game unless it was the Super Bowl. Is it pretty remarkable to get that third matchup in this new rivalry already next week?
Yeah, don't take it for granted. Very appreciative and of the opportunity. And listen, the minute that he signed with the Bucs and came in the division, you know, you felt like, you know, that was going to be a team to contend with. That was going to be a team that had playoff aspirations and beyond, just like us. So I guess it was inevitable.
Next one's from Catherine Terrell.
Hey, Drew, after you broke your ribs, did you think the Brees leaf basically was off the table forever?
You know, that's a good question. I guess that I hadn't really thought about that one. But we got to 4th and 1 there, and I told Sean, he's looking at the call sheet, trying to figure out what he's going to call. And I said, listen, just let me jump over the top. So that's what we did.
I've also got to ask this. I know you're really fired up and talking into the camera after that. Do you because they overturned the touchdown, you man, I kind of wish I would have waited on that one?
No, I thought I was in. I guess I just pulled the ball back a little too soon. But regardless, I guess I'm just going to have to do a few more box jumps, tomorrow when I work out, make sure I can get that extra distance. It was a little further out than normal, but still felt like I got in.
No, I meant talking to the camera specifically afterwards.
What's that?
No, I meant specifically when you went up to the camera and you were.
No, I know. Well, I didn't go up to the camera. The camera was in my face as I was walking off.
You had to say something.
I just said, hey, we're going to get in. We were going to get in.
Next one's from Chris Dunnels.
Drew, you and Mike Thomas had only played, I think, 10 quarters of football all year. So what was it like to finally have him and AK back on the field with you, albeit in the postseason?
It was great. It was great to get him in the end zone, too. Hopefully we broke the seal, and there's a lot more that came from. But, listen, we got some work to do, I think still just kind of first time, really that we're getting everybody together again. Hopefully we get Traquan Smith back this week as well. And, there's just so much timing and rhythm that goes into the passing game, and so many little nuances and things that, when you're playing a lot, it becomes automatic. And that's when, you're really playing at the level that, man, we've been at, in many cases around here. But listen, this is playoff football. Each game becomes obviously more meaningful, and you've got to continue to fine tune and find ways to play your absolute best football. And listen, we need to improve. We still need to improve. There's still room for that, and so that's what this week's going to be focused on is continuing to find those extra little percentage points.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Hey, Drew, that first long drive in the third quarter, you got a lot of clean pockets on that drive, and that wasn't really the case in the first half. Did you guys change things up at halftime? Did you flip protections around?
We always do. We always change up protections just in launch points, just so defenses can't get a beat on you. Focus on trying to get the ball out, finding completions, creating matchups and such. I thought we were good on third down today. I felt like we were able to do that well. Even some third and long situations where we just found outlets and guys were able to get first downs. But the guys up front, I felt like did a great job against a really good pass rush front. By sustaining those drives, you end up getting those 12-play, 15-play. We had a few of those drives in the second half, which, chewed up a bunch of clock, kept our defense off the field and fresh, and we're able to get points. And at the end of the day, despite the first half where we felt like, we weren't really able to capitalize on some of the drives and really get significant points. Defense played lights out. Special teams played really well. Played the field position game at times. It was just great complementary football all the way around. And sometimes you got to do that to win. That's what the great teams do.
Next one's from Jeff Duncan.
Hey, Drew, Alvin said earlier that you all communicated a lot during the week, you and him. What was that process like for you all?
Yeah, just texting. Just as things came up, just texting him kind of my thoughts and, hey, this is a little nuanced, it's a little different. You be ready for this, so that, when he showed up for game day, it wasn't, like a totally foreign, game plan. And felt like he handled it really well, despite the circumstances.
Hey, one other thing real quick. TV cameras caught one of your sons. We couldn't tell who it was doing the gritty after one of the touchdowns. Did you teach them that dance?
Which one is that?
The gritty dance, I think. It looked like that's what he was doing.
Okay.
Which would be what Sean did.
It's probably my oldest son, Balin. He's the one with the rhythm of all the kids. So he'll start dancing, celebrating. He's kind of the swag king in the family. So yeah, it was probably him.
We're all set. Thanks, Drew.
All right.
Yeah, we'll end it there.
Let's get questions in the chat from Marshawn Lattimore. First one's from Rod Walker.
Hey, Marshawn, when
Rod, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
No.
You still can't?
He's going to say it from mine. Here you go.
Hey, Marshawn, when Javon dropped that touchdown, we saw you kind of laughing on it. What was kind of going on in your head at that point?
I was glad he got it. You know, I was laughing at him. But so he said he caught it, man. It's the playoffs. But so, you know, I was laughing at him, and he did that to Deucey. So, you know, of course, I'm gonna laugh at him. I'm a clown. So, you know, it is what it is.
I feel like this defense is playing right now.
What'd you say?
How do you feel like the defense is playing right now?
Oh, we turned up, man. You know, we got to get to it. And it's been 4 years. This is the 4th year, man. We got to do it. So, you know, we playing lights out right now. We just got to keep the momentum going and just keep making the plays that come to us.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
How much do you guys feed off of the energy that CD brings and just when he's kind of riding that line and getting everybody fired up?
I tell him to turn me up all the time. Every time he do something, I tell him to turn me up. He got to keep his turn, man. He the one who getting people's heads. So, man, we need that. We playing defense. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever we got to do to win, man, let's do it. Let's keep doing it.
We're all set. Thanks, Marshawn.
With Drew on that down when you needed a big play, and then that time off, does that help you at all when you're going into this kind of fresh at this stage of the year?
I mean, we practiced it a lot. This week, like Drew told you earlier, like a lot of practice and a lot of practice goes on with these routes, a lot of timing and things like that. So all week we just been practicing it. What was the second part?
Just you haven't played since like mid-November. Do you feel like almost fresh, like in your legs, week 18 here?
Yeah, definitely fresh legs, fresh feet. It sucked that I had to miss 6 games, but like I said, I got fresh legs. I feel like those guys need a little break. They've been going hard all season, so I just wanted to come back and make plays.
Next one's from Nick Underhill. We'll skip. Next one's from Doc Doucet.
Okay.
Deonte, can you just talk about your drive, your work ethic? I'm sure that you represent a lot of guys that are at small colleges out there that dreamed of playing in the NFL. What you're doing out there right now?
I just had a mentality and a mindset that whatever I wanted to do in life, I was going to do it. And I just had a great support system behind me. So I just always wanted to work harder than the next person. And I felt as though, me being my size, I had a disadvantage already. So I felt like I had to work twice as hard. And that's just what my people's instilled in me at a young age. And, I just carried that with me through life. So I just try to be a positive role model for guys that's, trying to take that same route that I took.
Go ahead, Nick.
You mentioned all the moving parts you guys have on offense. Do you feel like, this is just kind of getting back and then there's still room for improvement just as everybody settles in and you guys get your rhythm back all the way?
Oh yeah, definitely. We always got room for improvement. That's definitely not the best game that we've had offensively, but it was enough to get the job done. But we still got Traquan who's should be coming back next week hopefully. So we always got room for improvement.
Last one's from Luke Johnson.
Deonte, were you figuring you'd be a big part of the game plan today? I mean, you were involved pretty early and often. Did you kind of think a game like this was coming?
It's one of them things that you hope for. At practice, I was getting a lot of reps. So, you just get to the game and just hope that they call plays, and then you just make the plays when you remember to call.
Thanks, Deonte. We're all set.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Deonte.
Questions in the chat for Cam Jordan.
I'll ask him nothing. Omelette do from us? Omelette do from us.
First one's from Catherine Terrell.
Hey, Cam, I got to know, when you had that conversation with the person from Nickelodeon, why didn't you just offer to get slimed instead of going to throw it on Sean Payton?
Omelette do from us.
I do love that T-shirt.
Yeah, so at any given circumstance, I'm gonna do for much. No, but seriously, when you talk about me versus Sean getting slimed, I thought that was a no-brainer. I'm gonna serve him up every time, most likely.
That's fair. He actually did just get slimed. I don't know.
I saw that. I
I just saw it on the video.
I was coming in and he was coming in and I was coming through here and yeah, I'm like I said, I'm glad him. I'm glad it was him. I'm glad it was him. In fact, I'm more mad that I couldn't set him up for me to dump the bucket on him. But somebody had to get slimed. I'm glad it was him.
Yeah, honestly, I thought that's what was going to happen. I thought you would, sneak up on him and throw the slime bucket on him. But
the slime couldn't touch
dream big.
My cleats were just too heavy today. You know what I'm saying? My cleat drip was on another level. So I just, my drip was way too heavy for that slime to touch the cleats that I had on.
Hey, Cam, on a football note, what are you taking away from this defensive performance tonight? Seemed like you all just had a ton of energy all game and were really just playing lights out.
Omelette du fromage. That didn't work? Okay, cool.
I was just going to wait.
I mean, honestly, we bring all the juice and the intensity that we need. And I think, that first half, our interior line play was crazy. I mean, really, we harped on it all week. We said if the interior line plays well, we're going to benefit as a defense. And you saw it time and time again. Guys like Shai Tuttle, Malcolm Brown, Shadow Rinkus, David Aguimada came in there and played more than just well. They balled out. And really was able to set the edge up for us. And we feed off of our interior guys this game. You talk about how our secondary took to the field today. I love it. I mean, PJ, I'm going to keep fighting for it. PJ created a fumble. Malcolm Jenkins scored a touchdown. We should have been up 10, whatever the score was. And that defensive turnover would have been huge. And at the same time, we still came out in that second half and pretty much played lights out football. Minus the amazing Jimmy Graham one-handed grab that he's capable of doing. That's why he's Jimmy Graham. He probably leads the tight end world in red zone touchdowns because he's 6'8" and can jump and can make amazing catches.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Okay, do you just have like a Dexter's Lab shirt hanging out like in your closet, or is this special ordered for this game?
Omelette du fromage.
I've also been informed that they're Cartoon Network and not Nickelodeon.
No doubt. I don't have a Kick Buttowski sweater or a SpongeBob sweater for some reason. But I had already planned on wearing this sweater already. It just happened to have a Nickelodeon game. I'm sorry, Nickelodeon. Had I known probably more than a week before, I would have done better. I'm not saying Cartoon Network set up my childhood, but I love a lot of Nickelodeon shows. I grew up on all that. Not the remake. I'm not sure what that is, but the original, Kenan and Kel.
We're all set. Thanks, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. Omelette du fromage.
As we await more players at the podium, that was obviously Cam Jordan giving us some jokes about his Cartoon Network sweatshirt. I'm not really sure what he was saying. That went over my head a little bit. But we do have breaking news, Saints fans. The Saints will take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next Sunday right here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome at 5:40 p.m. on Fox. JD, we were talking just before the players came up about that matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, third time in a row. Your thoughts on facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again?
Well, the first two don't mean anything if you're the Saints, if you don't finish up and clean up with the third. Now, that said, everyone believes, I would imagine, that Tampa Bay might have some kind of psychological edge heading into the third game, even though they're underdogs right now. But my counter to that is the Saints have already beat them twice. Why wouldn't the Saints feel confident in what they do against Tampa Bay, and why wouldn't they make the necessary adjustments as they made the previous times? So looking forward to it, obviously, because these are the two top teams in the NFC South Division. Tampa Bay was a team that hoped by adding Tom Brady and several other parts, Rob Gronkowski and Antonio Brown and Leonard Fournette, that they might be able to unseat the Saints, and were not able to do so because specifically the Saints swept them. We've got another player at the podium, Demario Davis.
Demario, it seemed like it took the offense just a little bit of time to find its rhythm. How much pride do you guys take in keeping that game where it was until they kind of found it and kind of put the game away late?
We're a team that's built on playing complementary football, and so you got the ebbs and flows of the game, and our job is to go out there and get stops, and that's all that we're focused on.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Y'all got Marcus back today. You got CD back today. P-Rob back today. How big was that, just getting those guys back after missing them for various amounts?
This time of year, the more healthy you are, the more of your guys you got, the better off you're going to be. And it definitely was helpful to have our guys today.
Next one's from Sean Fazend.
Hey, Demario, can you just talk about the effort on third down today? I think they only ended up with one the whole game. So just your effort on third down.
To be successful in this game, you got to be good on third down. You got to be good in red zone. You just got to be able to play good situational football. We felt like we had a good beat on what they were going to try to do. We felt like we had a good handle on our game plan and what we were trying to do. And it just goes to the execution of the guys. So it was good enough to get a win today, and that's what's most important.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
How much of a difference is it for you playing with Alex as opposed to Quan, and just how was it having Alex back in there next to you?
We got a good linebacker room, so we feel like anybody that's on the field is going to be able to contribute and bring a lot of energy and a lot of effort and play at an efficient level, and that's what's most important. And that helps when we have a veteran room. We got young backers who can pick up what we're trying to do, because you never know. It's always next man up, and everybody in that room has to be ready. And I think we have a good room and are able to adapt to that.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Hey, Demario, you talked this week about appreciating being in the playoffs because those opportunities don't come very often sometimes. How much you appreciate it? Playoff wins are even more rare. How much would you say you appreciate this right now, and how good does it feel right now?
You're grateful for sure. It's important, but it's nothing to. It's kind of tricky, because you have to appreciate it, but
It's nothing really to relish in or celebrate because you got to complete the mission. You got to stay locked in until you complete the mission, and the mission's not done. So it was good for us to get a win today, but we got to be ready to do the same thing this week.
We're all set. Thanks, Demario.
And thank you guys. Be blessed.
That'll be it for tonight, you guys. Thank you.
Well, as Demario Davis just said, JD, the mission continues. That mission will continue right here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome next week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 5:40 p.m. We, of course, will have your pregame show right here, Dome at Home Live, an hour before kickoff. For John Shazier, Caroline Gonzalez, our fantastic production crew, we will leave you with these highlights of the Saints win over the Chicago Bears 21-9.